as you go through, watching all the Richmond games from last year and watching Richmond against them, they're a different football team. I think they're way more physical this year. They play with an edge about them. They're well coached. I mean, it's a good Elon team, and they're going to give a lot of people problems this year. Now they're playing with some young, a couple young quarterbacks, but they both look really good, look athletic. But I just, as soon as I watched the film, it just jumped off the physicality about on both sides of the ball.
Coach, do you feel a little bit better as a coach when you go into a game like this after coming off a game like you just had Saturday where that offense seemed to be clicking on all cylinders?
I never feel good about going into any game. I've been doing this for 33 years. I have no idea. It was nice. I mean, it was a nice win for us last week, obviously, and our guys played good, on offensively and defensively. So you feel good about that. But every team's different. The matchups are different. It's how you match up with people. I thought our matchup against Howard was good. Maybe UNLV and Kent didn't match up as well, but I liked our matchup. But it's all about matchups, and until you see them in person and play the game, you just don't know, how you match up against people.
They have two of the top three tacklers in the conference and early in the season. But when you have two players like that on defense, does it make it easier to key on them offensively, or is that something on a defense where maybe they rely on those two guys a little too much, or they just have two athletes? It's just odd that you have two guys that seem to be leading the way on one side of the ball.
Well, they probably had a lot of tackles in the Furman game. Furman's running a little bit of the kind of the triple option stuff, and normally you get quite a few tackles in that. I know Charleston Southern's a lot of the option stuff too. So, as you start to get numbers as far as tackles, when you're playing running teams, and you're using your guys to defend the options, sometimes those numbers go up. Not taking anything away from them. I mean, obviously you got to make the plays, you got to make the tackles, but they were a couple unique teams in what they do offensively against them.
Coach, I know you guys. Everyone tries to approach every game the same, but do you see an increase in locker room intensity once conference play hits?
Well, I've only been with them, the Tuesday in practice, and we had a pretty good practice on Tuesday. I think our guys understand and realize how hard this league is. I looked at Waller and Laletta and those guys, and even yesterday, and said, you guys have played a lot of conference games. None of them have been easy. None of them are going to be easy. So they do know, especially the older guys they've been through these battles before with all the conference teams. And I mean, I just up and down this league, it is tough. And it's a different brand of football here in the CAA.
Kind of following up on that, for you personally, I know it doesn't change from your approach, but is it different for you in that regard, where all the teams seem to be this good and anybody can beat anybody in a given week?
Yeah, I mean, when we were at our last job there, you could see. You could probably point a couple that, we're going to get. We're better than they are, no question. Maybe three. And here, you just can't say, point a finger and say that's a gimme, or thank goodness they're showing up on the schedule at this time. It's just, I think it's going to be like this the whole year, and I think you guys know it, we know it, our players know it, and so if we're not ready to play, you'll lose in this league, no question.
Your impression of the CAA out to Southern Conference, is that right? Is that
Yeah.
what Chattanooga's in, and then back to CAA as far as the strength of those conferences?
I think there's probably, and not to take it away, because the Southern Conference was one of the top three teams in the leagues in the country, so I would never take anything away from that. But I think top to bottom in the CAA, I think the number of quality opponents, I think probably. There's what are there 12 teams, and how many teams in this league now? 12 teams in the league, and they're all really good. In this, Southern Conference, we had 8, or 9 now. But I think top to bottom, I mean, I think the one thing too about this league is kind of the physicality of it. I think everybody is just big and strong, and I mean, they pound you pretty good, and that. Sometimes that takes a toll on your team too.
As a former defensive player and former defensive coach, are you more difficult evaluating your defense maybe than your offense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes, man, I walk off or see a play and say, wow. And then other times I think, whew, can we be great? And I don't, it's just kind of, we never gauge it on good, I think. And I think we gauge it on great defensively. And that's kind of always been my mentality. Can we be great? I think we've got quality players. I think we got a defense that could be great, but they're still learning us. I mean, sometimes, when you do things for a long time and somebody does something, your guys will see it, pick it up, and make an adjustment pre-snap, during the snap, and I think we're moving that direction with our guys, but we still need to, they got to take care of coaches too now. I mean, we'll coach them up, but that time when they make a play and we say, "Wow, we didn't even practice that," that's when you're really great. And I think we're moving in that direction.
I know that along the lines of you being a defensive coach, you guys have a new staff coming in this year. The offense is still putting up huge numbers, and as of last weekend, historic numbers. Is that just kind of a tribute to the talent that you have on that side of the ball, that they can switch coordinators and switch offenses and switch systems and come back and still be as good as they were last year with, I guess, the Colgate game notwithstanding?
Yeah. Offensively, if you got a quarterback, you got a good start right there. And then, if you can put weapons around him like we have, now you move forward even quicker. And but we've got players on the offensive side of the ball. I like them. If we can continue to find ways to get all these guys the ball, just keep spreading it out, I think we'll cause a lot of problems. If we don't, then that's one thing. But I think if as coaches we continue to work at getting players, multiple players the ball, I think we'll be okay on offense. But it all starts with a quarterback. There's no question about that.
Not that you guys are going to sneak up on anybody, but the fact that Elon has already faced 2 run-heavy offenses and you guys are so good at throwing it around and so much more balanced, does that give you maybe even a little bit more of an advantage against a defense that maybe isn't used to it just yet?
Yeah, I don't think we have advantages right now. I think they did play a couple teams that run the ball, but Toledo was pretty, similar as far as what they do, throwing it and the one-back runs and things like that. So, and plus their offense, their offense is a one-back deal, and so they see it. So it's not like, sometimes when you play like a Citadel, a Wofford, that are all triple option. How do they even simulate Skelly in practice? How do they simulate? And that's where they kind of get hurt. But I think Elon, with what they do offensively, I think they're fine as far as defending people. And even though they played a couple run heavy teams.
Have you communicated with Will Healy since Saturday night?
No, coaches, we don't do any. I mean, coaches are strange. I mean, we don't. I barely. During the season, you barely talk. I've texted twice with Dave Clawson, and that's probably the only person that I've had any kind of communication with. But congratulations, man. That's pretty cool for them. But we all should be better. I'm blaming myself, but every one of you guys out there in the coaching profession needs to be better too.
As Richmond moves into a phase of hiring an AD, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share regarding the qualities that person, the football coach might want that person to have?
No, I've said it before. I trust the people that are making those decisions. They'll bring in the right guy. I mean, for me, it's I just want to coach my team and be around my guys, my players. They'll make the right decision. I don't think there's a question about that.
What jumps off the page at you about that Elon offense?
Again, I mean, when you can get into into the gun, like all one back stuff, 11 personnel, and be physical, I think that says a lot about your team, your mentality, the coaching aspect of it. Love their running backs, and I should know names better than this, but sometimes I forget my son's name. Number 30, oh, he's good. Up front, they got a couple wideouts, and again, John, help me. I should be better at this than I am, but they got some kids that can run, go get a ball. They got some length to them. But again, I can't say it enough. I think when you put on the film and you see a team that's physical and want to get after you, then you know that I think the coaching staff's doing the right things with them.
Do they remind you of your own offense?
Kind of, yeah, kind of. We probably throw it around more than they do, but kind of. We hope, and I hope people watch us on film and say, "Wow, man, they're physical. They come off the ball, and those backs run hard, and our backs do run hard." But you'd like people to say, "Yeah, they got a physicality about them," and so they kind of do remind a little bit, with what they want to do.